unlike the would-be attorney general from the Democrats in Virginia, when Senator Cotton texts people, he's usually just giving them an elbow about their sports teams. Senator Cotton, what do you make of this guy in Virginia? You live in Virginia. You don't vote there. You're an Arkansan. But what do you make of this guy, Jay Jones?
Well, to be clear, Hugh, texts like that, I'm sure you get a lot of them, are only in response to your annoying text about the Browns and the Indians. And why wouldn't you, since there's not much else to root for if you're a Cleveland sports fan?
I can root for the Jaguars to lose tonight because we have their number one choice. But other than that.
The text messages that emerge from this deranged psychopathic Democrat, Jay Jones, in Virginia over the weekend would be grounds for him to immediately withdraw from the race. And for every Democrat, starting with Abigail Spanberger, their liberal nominee for governor, to withdraw their endorsement and repudiate him. If your listeners haven't seen them yet, they really should Google them and go look them up. I guess he was texting a fellow state representative a few years back, and he didn't like another state rep. So he said he fantasized about shooting him, like if he had a choice between, Hitler and Stalin.
Hitler, Stalin, and this representative, and you have two bullets. He gives both of them to the Republican.
Gives them both twice, and then he seemed to fantasize about their children dying as well, so they would understand what true pain was. I think this is also around the time that he was apparently arrested for going over 100 miles an hour in like a 40-mile or 50-mile-an-hour zone, and then wiggled his way out of community service by working for some scam pack that he was running. I mean, it seems like at the time he just has had something of a psychotic break or a mental breakdown with reality, and he probably needs help. But what he doesn't need to be is the chief law enforcement officer for the Commonwealth of Virginia.
And their governor's nominee, Abigail Spanberger, ought to be able to say it just as clearly as you said it, because she wants to be my governor, and I don't want her not to be able to judge crazy.
And again, Hugh, I mean, to my knowledge, as of this afternoon, not a single Democrat anywhere in America has repudiated him and called for him to withdraw from the race. I want to give you a little thought experiment, Hugh, as I'm on my way to the Capitol. If this happened to a Republican, and not one running for attorney general of a state, but running for dog catcher, Hugh, every Republican senator and congressman would be asked repeatedly by the political media to condemn him and to demand that he withdraw from the race. Will the media do the same with Democrats in Congress this week? Will they demand that every Democrat repudiate him and condemn him and demand his withdrawal?
Of course not. You're driving to Congress because there's a vote this afternoon on reopening the government. I assume it will fail. I want to take advantage of your experience leading young soldiers in platoons in Baghdad. Did some of those soldiers live paycheck to paycheck when they were kids?
Yeah, no question about that, Hugh. Unfortunately, sometimes soldiers can't even live paycheck to paycheck. They live on such thin margins that the slightest problem, whether it's broken down car or an AC running out, requires them to go get a loan or, go to the food bank at the end of the month. And obviously it's going to be even worse for them if they're denied a paycheck next Wednesday because the Schumer shutdown is still ongoing.
Do the Democrats not realize, did they try and pass an alternative with funding for the troops? Because everybody else in the federal government can quit if they don't want to get paid. Well, they can walk away and go get a private sector. The military can't. You guys took an oath.
Well, you remember, they have their own alternative funding bill. And I think we're voting on it again this afternoon, along with the only one that can pass, the House-passed bill that simply funds the government for 7 weeks. And we saw what the Democrats' priorities were when they introduced this bill. It's not to pay our troops. It's to provide taxpayer-financed health care for illegal aliens, supported by the elimination of $50 billion of support for rural hospitals, which are struggling so badly across America. So no, they don't have a bill that would pay our troops, Hugh. They have a bill that would provide taxpayer-funded health care to illegal aliens.
You know what a box canyon is, and I'll conclude here. On Fox earlier today, I said Schumer's in a box canyon, At the end are the president and the vice president on the left, your leader Thune, and Speaker Johnson. Over on the right are Senator Cotton, Senator Collins. They're both on the program today. I mean, do you want it to end quickly, or is it too much fun leveling Democratic talking points with ease?
No, Hugh, we want this to end quickly. We want the government to get back to serving the people. Let me just give you one more example of some of the hardship that Americans will begin to face this week. And this is not through any action of Donald Trump or anyone in his administration. This is the operation of law, Hugh. The Women, Infant, and Children's Nutrition Program, through which many low-income moms buy their kids baby formula, cereal, milk, bread, eggs, will start to run out of money. So if you're a poor single mother in Arkansas who depends on WIC and buys those staples with your debit card, that debit card's not going to have cash on it this week because of the Schumer shutdown. So these are real impacts with real Americans' lives that Chuck Schumer is playing around with because he's afraid of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and his radical left wing.
Does anyone not understand that it's just Chuck Schumer doesn't know what to do with himself after 50 years in the Congress? He knows AOC will beat him. He's got to try and deter her. Does anyone not get that?
Oh, no, several Democratic senators get that, Hugh, as well. But they're afraid to cross him, and they're afraid to cross their radical left-wing base. But they've told us that in the Senate, that they know they're in a box canyon. They have no reasonable demand here because we have no demand at all. Republicans don't have anything to negotiate about because we just simply want to fund the government. So I suspect as some of these real-world impacts start to pile up, and this imposes genuine hardships on vulnerable populations, Hugh, that a handful of Democrats will come to their senses and vote with 3 other Democrats who have already done the responsible thing to fund the government. And by the way, Hugh, I think it's probably what Chuck Schumer wants. Chuck Schumer wants 5 or 6 Democrats to vote for this bill so he can get out from the obligation of having to vote for it.
That makes sense. Last question. John Ossoff is up for re-election in a state he should not win in Georgia. I have not seen him say a word. Is Ossoff one of the ones who might cross over in order to try and save himself in November of next year?
I doubt so, Hugh. To Senator Ossoff's credit or detriment, I guess, depending on your point of view, ever since he got to the Senate representing a fairly, moderate swing state, he has let his true blue colors fly. He's voted to allow men and women's sports in locker rooms. He's voted to defund our support for Israel and cut off the flow of weapons to Israel in the middle of a shooting war. He's voted repeatedly for taxpayer-funded health care for illegal aliens and against border security. So Senator Ossoff is a true blue liberal, and he has never really backed away from that in the U.S. Senate. He may talk a different game back in Georgia, but when it comes to the Senate and his votes, he's usually with the far left.
Well, I hope everyone who's listening in Georgia, and that's a lot of people, heard that. Senator Tom Cotton, thank you. Going to be another frustrating day at the Senate, I think, but I appreciate your taking the time with me. And don't worry, next year for the Red Sox, Senator. There's always next year for the Red Sox, even though they choke. But don't worry about it.